Hello, my name is Aaron Cavanagh and I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Post-Burnout.com. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. This is our website's podcast where we publish full-length recordings of our interviews, which are sometimes the unedited versions of our site's articles and at other times are exclusives. If you're a returning listener, thank you for coming back, and if this is your first time listening, thank you for checking us out. We hope you enjoy and consider subscribing, giving the episodes a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, or giving it a rating if you're anywhere else. It really helps us out. Thank you. Alright, in this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, the Limerick singer-songwriter ARREN returns to the podcast to discuss his upcoming gig at Upstairs at Whelan this Saturday, the current promotion cycle he's in for his upcoming debut album Dark Earth, his work as a videographer, how he utilises his skills to promote his material, the project's future plans, and much more. As mentioned, ARREN will play at Upstairs on Whelan this Saturday, June 21st. Tickets for that show are available in the description of this episode. Thank you very much and enjoy. We're now officially on the record, so anything you can say will be incriminating
Used
in the
against
course
me.
of law. Yeah.
Oh, shit,
You
okay.
do have the right to remain silent. That'd be an interesting review. Just my
Might be a
questions.
bit of a boring episode, though, wouldn't it?
Just like back and just like, ooh, it's like, I swear his side didn't get deleted. That did happen to me one time. It was weird, but anyway. My side got deleted there soon. Yeah, no, the last time we spoke, I mean, was, I guess, 2 songs ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was at the end of July. Since they released some more songs, and back then, I mean, you were saying that you were gearing up for your debut album, Dark Earth,
Yeah.
which I called Dark World by mistake.
You call it Dark World?
By mistake,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I probably shouldn't mention that. I was just listening back to the interview today.
That's all right.
Prep. Yeah, but so at the time you were saying like those songs weren't from the record. Are these new songs, broken and stuff? Is it like
Yeah, so the song that I released when I first was talking to you, Takes One to Know,
Yeah.
was sort of like an in-between the EP I had and this album. So it's kind of like on its own. But these last 2 songs are singles from the album.
Why did you decide to go for them for like the first introduction to the record?
It's funny. I basically when I finished the record, I basically got all my friends to listen to it and give me their top 5, because artists are always wrong. Like Tin Lizzy wanted to get rid of Boys Are Back in Town from their album.
No.
So they're like, artists are always wrong. So I had an idea of what songs I wanted to release first, but I thought I should go least popular to most popular.
Yeah.
So by the time I have like my best songs, right, the more people will have listened to them. So it would be more successful. So that's my mindset.
That's an
So
interesting mindset, because I would have thought the opposite. I thought you go for like the strongest ones first and then kind of go down, because like then it gives them time to build traction. People get hype for it. That's what I would have
maybe
thought. I don't know.
it's a good debate.
I'm
but-
not a strategist by any means.
Oh, I know. No, but it's a good debate. But I think what I went for, like the way I see it, like, you know, I'm gaining more people as I release these songs. So
That's a good point, yeah.
the better quality songs I have with the more people, maybe they'll share it more or whatever, you know.
And
So
you're saying gaining, so obviously live music will be part of that, but on top of that, how else
Yeah.
are you gaining people? Like, what's your strategy?
meta ads.
Yeah.
Well, I've stopped doing that because, well,
See, the thing
I'm
about
kind
ads,
of
'cause
broke.
I've
So
done that for the website too, and I always feel like you do get a boost, but I'm kind of always like, well, are these people actually sticking around?
Yeah.
Or is it just like they see something, they like it, or whatever, maybe they'll follow you, maybe you get
Yeah.
a few more followers, a few more likes, something like, is that artificial, or is it like people who are actually kind of interested in what you're doing?
yeah, it's hard to say. You know, like I tried meta ads for a while, and I got some good stuff. You know, like I used it for pushing the Little Whelan's gig I had in February.
Yeah.
And I sold that out, which is pretty good. But I guess the big question is, how do you turn impressions into long-term
Yeah.
fans? I don't really have a strategy for that online, but I have been doing things at live shows to do that. So at the Little Whelan's gig in February, I basically had a raffle where to enter this raffle, you had to put your email down and sign up to this mailing list. And then I'd pick a name out
That's
of
smart.
out of
So
a hat.
if the music doesn't work out, you can just sell that to scammers, kind
Yeah,
of.
pretty much make a living from that too. Yeah. But like I got a good few email addresses to push for new songs and new gigs and show. Um, so I think that was a good strategy because plus I was giving away merch and drink vouchers and stuff like that. And I think it went well. I'll probably do the same thing for the show I have in June as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about that? So is that Whelan's upstairs or?
Yeah, upstairs. Yeah, the next level up.
Yeah, cool. And then next
Yeah.
one will be the main room, and then
If
the
it,
arena.
we'll see how this one goes. Three arena, yeah. I'd love to play Olympia eventually.
I like
but,
that there's
yeah.
no in between. It's just like Whelan's main room, Olympia.
Yeah.
Arena.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Workman's closing down.
I know. Yeah, I was so
That
confused
sucks.
by that because it came up and it was like I think the first time I saw it was the Irish Times report, and the way they said it was kind of vague. So it wasn't just me; some of my other friends were kind of like, "Is it closing down?" Like there was uncertainty. I was like, "I don't know," because it just seemed to be like a retrospective of
Yeah.
the club. But I was like, well, is it? But now, like, it's kind of been confirmed. I think at the moment that they specifically mentioned the cellar, but is the entire Workman's that's closing, or is it
I
specifically
don't know
cellar?
the details. I just know that.
Which is a pity because I actually
mean,
think the cellar is the better venue.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the way, like, I imagine it'll close and then it'll be back open
Maybe,
at some
yeah,
point,
yeah.
with a new owner. But I don't know. I don't know the details of it. I just heard that
Yeah.
they stopped taking artists' bookings for shows and stuff,
Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah, I am playing the Cellar actually. I'm supporting a guy called Alki. I don't know if you know him.
I recognize the name. I don't know.
Yeah, he's playing the
Or maybe
30th
that's
this
just-
Friday actually.
Maybe that's just because what we called a lot.
Well, yeah, I do want to ask him how he came up with the name.
But you kind of don't want to also.
yeah. But yeah, I'm supporting him on Friday. This Friday, the 30th of May.
That'll be gone by the time. So.
Huh?
That'll be gone by the time this out.
Oh, I know.
I hope it was a good show. I hope it was a good show.
It was amazing.
To be honest, I'm making sure just to hit this before your gigs.
Oh, that's all I really care about.
Yeah. But have you played the Workman's before? What venues
haven't.
around town? Because I know I've seen you. Well, did I see you? Well, actually, now I'm even doubting myself. I thought I saw you were Workman's upstairs, but no, I met you there
Nah.
for Billy Fitzgerald.
That was Whelan's upstairs.
What did I say?
You said Workman's upstairs.
Oh no, my mistake. Sorry. Okay, cool. But
Yeah.
where have you been playing around town?
Well, there's a lot of open mics going on. So I've done Shanae on Tuesdays, the open mic there. I've done the songwriting cycle, I think it's called, but that changes venues. I don't know. They do a multiple venues, and also I've done the Smithfield Creatives Thursday one at Board, if you know. Yeah. Yeah, I've done a couple of those, and then like my shows, it's just been Little Whelans. I did play Shanae, the upstairs and the basement for.
I've never actually seen a show in the basement. I've only been the upstairs.
Yeah, it's usually comedy shows, but
Yeah.
there's a friend of mine, Jan. He hosts the Alt Acoustic Showcase. If you've heard of that.
Yeah, I have. I've seen posters for around.
Yeah.
I think.
He hosts that in the basement. The next one is actually on the 30th, so I won't be going to it because I help him out with sound sometimes because he's on his own. But I obviously won't make it. But it's also upstairs this time, so there will be a sound guy, so it's fine. But yeah, so I've done the basement there, and then we also did sort of like a three artist 30-minute slot each show, like acoustic night there, with Keena Iraldi and Gabriel Bond.
Yeah.
You met Gabriel. I introduced you to
Yeah,
Gabriel
yes,
at
the
Billy's
the
gig.
Kiwi, the
Yeah,
Kiwi.
yeah, the Kiwi guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for what I've played at. But Whelan's upstairs this June 21st is gonna be cool.
Hype it.
Oh, it's gonna be sick. Full band. I'm not gonna make any money from this because I'm putting so much money into the show, like paying my band, getting a lighting engineer, doing it properly, and getting video, photography.
And do you have all that sorted now? Because I remember for a while you were kind of like still looking out for people.
I have the photographer sorted. I have the videographer sorted. at the band sorted. I'm talking to a lighting engineer who's trying to see if he can get the lighting desk before he can confirm with me. So that's still not 100% yet. But yeah, we'll hopefully it'll sort it out because I want it to be cool, you know. And plus, like, you know, I don't really mind not making any money from it because I want to use video from it to sort of put together a sort of real thing for splitting to festivals next year, you know, because I didn't really bother this year since I don't have the content for it right now and I'm not as big, so I wanna use it to submit to festivals.
Well, it's actually interesting because like you see a lot of people around kind of your size, and like you'd be talking and be like, "Yeah, we're playing EPs this year." I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
It's crazy." Like, it's always like the smaller. They kind of like they go, "Yeah, we're playing EPs this year," and then they kind of like, as the men will go, "But it's, you know, it's just a stage." It's like it's just in the middle of the
Hey,
woods.
you still played EP though. You can still save like with my little Whelan show, like 50 people.
Yeah.
Sold 50 tickets. I still played a sold out Whelan show.
Yeah.
There you go. So it sounds better than it actually is.
No, I know. Someone admitted to me one time. I won't say the name of the artist, but someone admitted to me that they kind of cheat on their EPK. Because the way you're like trying to sell yourself and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, we sold out the sound test," which was true, but it was a free gig, and there was like they did that thing. They're like, "We played Whelan's," like, "Well, there's like." Wheels upstairs.
Like, oh,
Wheels upstairs. Something. And it's just like, all right. No, but like I know people do that. Cause like I remember like someone like a different artist saying to me like, "Oh, I like went to #1 in the charts," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Look, it opened. It was like the iTunes charts, which is not insignificant or trivial, but it's just kind of like you know what you're doing."
Yeah.
I had a #1 single in the country.
Yeah.
But again, like you know, getting to #1 in the iTunes charts is is
still pretty good.
It's
still pretty good. Yeah.
Have you found kind of like I guess have you been finding everything since we last talked? I mean, like you know, you've been doing more recording and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it's funny actually. I had the album recorded before I talked to you. So I've just been mostly promotion. You know, I'm sort of in business mode. You know, I don't know if I mentioned you the last time, but I sort of separate my brain when it comes to music into the creative side and the business side. And right now I'm in business mode. You know, I like, and a lot.
So you have a split personality.
Pretty much. All good?
Oh yeah. No, checking.
Just
I just got it.
That's all right. Basically split personality. Well, like I sort of, and like I've said it to artists that I met before and who've asked me like, how do I feel about like playing my songs and stuff. And like a lot of the time they'll tell me like, oh, you know, I'm not really sure how I feel about this song, or I'm worried that the audience doesn't like this part of the song. And I'm like, I asked them, are you confident with your song? And they're like, yeah. Well, that's all that should matter. You know, you're confident that you've gotten to the song to the point where it needs to be, and now all you need to do is worry about playing it properly, you know, and not worried about the creative side of it. Just worry about the business side of pushing it. And I think that helps with like playing live and like playing open mics and stuff. I don't get nervous playing it because I know I'm confident with these songs, and all I have to do is just push it. You know, so I think that's helped me sort of get rid of any nerves I've had since getting back into music. You know, so well, was that your question?
No, you were talking about like kind of how you've been doing since then.
Good, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if I mentioned it before. I probably should have listened back to our episode and remembered what I was telling you. But
we mainly talked about IDT chips.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. I was like, oh well. That thankfully I was listening back to it today and I was like, oh, we didn't go too much of attention about that. You know?
Yeah. But I'm self-employed, like I'm a videographer. So it's great I can do my own sort of videos, you know, and I don't know if you checked out the music video we did recently for Broken, my latest song.
Seen, no, sir.
You haven't?
I haven't, sorry.
How could you?
Will I watch it now?
No, that's fine. But it's basically me walking on a treadmill with a green screen behind me with a bunch of shit thrown at me, such as teddy bears, slices of ham, slices of cheese, chocolate sauce, pretty much anything, pool noodles. It was a bunch of shit thrown at me. It was a lot of fun. It was messy as hell. But It was fun, yeah. And like the whole point of it was
Like I haven't seen the video, but I'm getting like flashbacks to It's Just Way to Amarillo.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Or another one was
What's that U2 one as well? I was thinking of the one where you're in the back of the car going through Dublin. Like I don't know the names. The Sweetest Thing.
oh
Their
yeah,
video,
yeah. One of the inspirations was One Direction song "Kiss Me."
Okay.
It's well the music video for it because it's basically like like a shitty green screen with them like pretending to be fucking on motorbikes and shit like that. It's kind of like that. But it's the whole message of it is like no matter what gets thrown at you, you keep pushing through, which is the message of the song. But it's a comedic take on it. And at the end of it, at the end of the song, I step off the treadmill and I walk up to the camera and I say, no matter what gets thrown at you, keep pushing through. And then a cake is pushed into my face.
How many takes did you do?
Of the cake?
No, of the whole thing. Was it one take? It sounds like a one take thing.
It was, but we did like 2 takes.
Sure.
Because like by like the first take, by the time it got to like the kind of climax of the song, they had thrown so much shit at me. They had like run out of stuff, so I was like, okay, hold back at the beginning.
So
and
we
then
have some bottles.
Yeah.
We have some bricks.
But yeah, they were very enthusiastic. My friends helping me out with it. We have some behind the scenes stuff that I sprinkle into the video as well. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to check out. But yeah, like that sort of thing I can do easily.
Do you direct your own videos?
Pretty much. It takes one to know I didn't.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, David Coleman, he's a filmmaker. He had the idea for it. And he came, like, I came to him with the song, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to be in it, and I'd love it to be sunny, because it's a summer song. That's all I want to tell you. And he's like, okay. And he came back to me with the idea for the song, and I was like, what the fuck?
That was one with the briefcase, yeah.
Yeah. The suitcase, yeah.
The suitcase, sorry.
He came back to me with the idea, and I was like, what the fuck? Let's do it. And yeah, we did it. I am planning a music video for the single I released after Takes One to Know, Dreams We Missed. But it's the music video, that idea that I have is such big scale that it's been so difficult to actually plan. And that was like that's been my issue with films, because I want to be like, I want to make a good film, good music video. But sometimes it's just way too big scale to actually pull off quickly and cheaply. But I think eventually I'll get it done. I don't want to tell you what it is because I'd like it to be surprised. But it's going to be real cool.
So you're looking to other music videos for direction, or what about even like film and stuff like that? What directors do you like? Because I remember last time we were talking, you said that you saw Mickey 17 and you weren't too enthusiastic about it. I actually saw it afterwards. I went to see it just on a whim.
What you think?
I thought really good editing and really good acting, kind of elevated material that otherwise could have been kind of you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the editing was spectacular in that
Yeah.
Was really good.
And Robert Pattinson like holds it up.
Yeah, he's really great.
He's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, like once
I think I enjoyed it more than most seemed to.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Once the threesome scene happened, I was like, okay, what's actually going on? This is a bit silly.
Yeah, I thinking that because I was thinking like the actual plot is kind of meandering.
Yeah. Like the first half is great. It brings up a lot of questions about how we would live our lives if we could replicate ourselves. But then it just kind of focuses on these random worms for the rest of the movie. Then, and I'm kind of like, it's a bit of a shame, But Boon Jung-ho, I love his other stuff. He's amazing.
What about directors for yourself?
I like directors for different reasons. Like I love Edgar Wright. Do you know Edgar Wright?
Yeah.
I love his style and his. He makes.
Did you like Last Night in Soho? I wasn't a fan.
I really liked it.
I only saw it once in the cinema and I didn't like it, but I might.
Why didn't you like it?
I don't know. It felt again kind of just like I don't know. It felt like a film I'd seen a bunch of times, like the psychological thriller kind of thing. It didn't seem like particularly unique or interesting.
I probably am biased because I love Edgar Wright.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
And it was refreshing to see his style in a different genre, so that's probably why. Yeah. I should watch it again soon. Actually.
I did like Baby Driver. I don't know if that's.
I think the Act 3 could have been better. Yeah. Like I think the big bad guy should have been Kevin Spacey instead of.
Was in real life.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Actually, it's funny because I was like, that film came out just before like the Kevin Spacey revolution.
Really?
It was like I swear I remember it was like a couple of months.
Yeah.
I'm glad I saw that when I did. I probably couldn't watch it now.
But not even because of that. Like I think structurally, I think it would have been, or it would have worked better.
Yeah.
Than it being one of the guys. You know,
Did I give a spoiler there when I said it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, too late now.
Sorry. I'll put a
yeah.
thing in the warning saying spoilers for Mickey 17
Yeah,
Baby Driver. I don't even spoil last night, so I think that one's okay.
Nah, yeah.
Unless you want to go ahead.
Yeah, at the end.
Hey, we're dead.
That's funny. It's like episode with this musician ARREN. Spoilers for these random movies.
Yeah, what's funny is sometimes like I watch like videos and like with a theme in mind that go like top 10 films where such and such happens. They go beware spoilers for, and then they'll like give you the spoiler list, and you're like, well, now I know.
Yeah.
Ironically, by giving spoiler like warnings, you kind of spoil.
Yeah. Like you're expecting something, then Yeah, that makes sense.
But sorry, directors for you.
I love Edgar Wright. I think because like I'm obviously as a writer, I love writing.
Do you ever watch Space's show?
Yeah,
I love
that
that
was
show.
really cool.
I remember seeing that as a teenager. No, it wasn't even a teenager. I was like probably like 11, 12.
Really?
And I might have been a bit. I don't know. Hot Fuzz was coming out, I think, so they were like replaying it on like Channel 4 or something. And I was like, "What the fuck? This is great! I'd never seen that show before." And I was like,
I only watched it there a couple of years ago.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's
I
cool.
think it's on Netflix now.
Is it?
It was at one point anyway.
It's cool. It's cool to see the makings of his style.
Yeah.
As he's kind of growing it. Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, like Hot Fuzz is still one of my top favorite movies.
Hot Fuzz is pretty good.
But I love his use of setup and payoff.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to just ask him, like, how do you write setup and payoff? Because it seems like everything in Act 1 pays off in the end.
A lot of the times I wouldn't even really notice about that, and then like you always, every time an Edgar Wright movie comes out, like there's always someone on YouTube going, "Here's the things you miss," and it's like he says this at this point. Then like I remember like used to read like the IMDb trivia and stuff like that, and just being like blown away.
Yeah,
especially like Scott Pilgrim as well. That film in particular just has so much of that kind of payoff, and so I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like
with the because like the boyfriends are numbered, and like even just like subtle things like Scott drinks like Coke Zero and stuff like that. You're just like, oh wow, you really put a lot of effort into this.
But yeah, like he must, because like he must know exactly what he wants to do in Act 3 when he writes Act 1. But then he's got to like go back and like back and forth. Must be, but like, damn, it's crazy. I also love Christopher Nolan. He's I love his writing as well. Have you ever seen Memento?
Yes, I love Memento. I think that's probably my favorite one, actually.
It's funny.
Now, to be fair, I haven't seen all of his films, but of the ones I've seen, that's probably my favorite one. I haven't seen what was the first one he did in like 1988. It was just before Memento. I can't remember, but I think like I was kind of interested in seeing that.
His first one.
His very first one.
I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, but I was interested in that as well.
I don't think I've seen it actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Memento. Every time I like try to explain it, not explain it, but like give the concept of it to someone, they're always like, "Nah, that sounds stupid, man. What the fuck?"
The guy getting tattoos and Polaroids. And
he's got no short-term memory, so the scenes move backwards, and I'm like, "What? That sounds stupid."
I used to, anytime I forget something, I'd go, "Sorry, I have a condition."
Yeah. But I love that film as well. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of been like, because I trained as a filmmaker in college, and it's a very creative medium. So I've always kind of struggled with having these two big creative things going on. So, like, coming out of college, I wanted to be a film director and a film writer. But recently, over the last few months, I've come to learn that I'd rather have music as a creative thing than film. And I'd rather let music get in the way of film than film get in the way of music.
That's fair.
So, and with my business, like my videography business, I've kind of that become more businessy than creative. Now I still do music videos for other artists and reels and stuff like that. But like my creative mind is focused on music for now. Like I do have some scripts, film scripts that I still want to write, but they are quite overwhelming to me. So I find that hard sometimes. I would like to, but yeah, it's just so much bigger scale.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you want to do it right too. You know.
Do you find the techniques you learned in like studying film has come over to music? Because I was talking to another guy who's also a filmmaker, who's a musician. I don't know if you're familiar with him. David OFMD was his former name. He now goes by Haunted Images. And he released his debut self-titled record. Since he changed his name, under Haunted Images, their debut came out, and I was listening to it, and the flow of it was just like immaculate, like the flow. And I was asking him, I did an interview with him, and I was like, was that inspired by like filming technique, like for editing and stuff like that? And he said, yeah, it was. I just think like it's a good. There's so many things you can get from that discipline and apply to the other writing. And that's one of them. I was thinking like if you're making like a full record, kind of the editing you learned for how to like edit a good scene or film or something. I think it actually help with the pacing of a record. If you
I 100% agree. Like this, I put a lot of thought into the structure of my album, and it's sort of structured like a film. Like it has acts, sort of thing. Yeah, has like a worst point.
Yeah.
You know, like end of act 2 sort of thing. And I'm pretty happy with it.
Do you think people kind of crave, even on a subconscious level, that kind of narrative structure for?
100%.
Yeah.
Everything we tell is structured. You know, like even like a story about what happened in the club last night.
Yeah.
You have this sort of introduction. You have this, okay, so I was doing this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then this certain moment happened. And this is where the bulk of the
conflict
body
happened,
of the story comes. And like I see it all the time in like people who tell stories and there's a twist and climax and then I had to go home. That's the resolution, right? I see that all the time. And like we're like, that's why structure is so satisfying to us.
Also, they're meant to kind of change at the end too. So like
the
journey they've been on. So even if it's just like a club night, it's like, well, I'm never going back there again. It's like, all right, there's some change.
yeah. Then I told her I was 24 and she was 30, so she left. You know, that's your turn. You know, at the end. So like the structure is built into us. You know, like film language. Like we're over time we've become so intelligent in absorbing film language. And I think it's really cool to play with. Like structure is within us, 100%. Like, I agree.
So I want to ask next. You mentioned like the film, like your work as a director and doing cinematography and things like that. So I was wondering, like how does that kind of inspire, I guess, the visual elements of your music beyond just the music videos and things like that? Like yes, as you mentioned before, like actually, in our previous interview, we were talking quite a bit about how everything is visual now. Like music has to be visual. You have to have like the reels. You have to have TikToks. You have to have, but even just like album art and things like that. Like, do you kind of apply that to, I guess, the art or the package of the music, or?
Could you explain your question a bit more?
Sure. So, well, let me put it like this. So, obviously, with film, it's like a fluid image of moving images, right? Obviously, with like an album cover, it's like a static image, right? Even if you're like layering it up and you're making it seem kind of in motion, it's still a static image, unless you get like, I don't know, what are those things when you turn and the image kind of adjusts. Unless you have something like that, but do you find like being able to kind of discern the best image in, say, a series of moving images as aided in any way, or am I just completely reaching?
I think you might be.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know, like all the video stuff that I do comes from the persona that I want to create as a musician, which is a guy with heartfelt music, but goofy in real life.
Sure.
Like that juxtaposition. I don't want to be like, I have sad songs and I'm sad.
Yeah.
I want to be like, I want people to feel, but also like be able to laugh about it too.
Sure.
Like especially with this, was what we were trying to achieve with the music video that we did like recently, was sort of like the song Broken, like it's about sort of being in a bad place and being able to push through it and being able to laugh about it too is important, you know. So I think, um, yeah, like, you know, broken. I wrote it when I was depressed, and it sort of helped me find a medium to put all of those thoughts into. Um, and it's sort of about community and how um, sorry, I'm blanking now. It's about community and how sort of, even though you might feel alone in how how bad you're feeling, there's so many people that are also going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's community in depression and anxiety and stuff.
Sure.
So the fact that there are so many other people that are going through it shouldn't make you feel alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think actually it's funny because I'm just repeating myself now from the previous interview, but when I was listening to that, I mentioned flippantly but somewhat sincerely. I think whenever I see people who present as happy, I kind of just feel it's perfunctory. Maybe I'm just too much of a cynical prick, but I just feel like I don't know how you can be alive today and actually be in a good mood all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a weird thing with the expectation too, because like a lot of people, like, you know, work and stuff like that, they always have to have this like HR approved kind of sort of baseline of just like complicity, at least if not happiness, at least complicity. And it seems like people can't share negative emotions. I wonder if you know, the societal expectations at work and outside of work kind of help to sort of I don't know, perpetuate that.
yeah, no, for sure. And I think I'm not like, even though I say I have a persona, I I am I am that persona.
Sure, yeah,
Like,
I get what you're saying.
you know, like I grew up very introverted and very quiet and stuff, but I'm actually quite like goofy at heart, and I want to push that as a an image, you know, and the way I see it, why I can sort of find like goofiness in the negativity is because I have this passion, and I think I know a lot of people who, you know, do these shitty jobs and they just don't have this sort of exterior passion that they can put those emotions into.
Yeah.
You know, like even though musicians are fucking the most depressed people ever, like they still have that outlet to put everything into.
Yeah.
But I do see, like, even some of my friends, you know, like I do see that they're missing that sort of exterior thing to make them happy,
Yeah.
or make them be like, oh, you know, I've only a couple hours left in the day. I'll get home and I'll just start fucking pottery,
Yeah.
whatever their outlet is, you know, and yeah. So that's, and it's hard to see sometimes with people that you want to help them get there, but you know, you can't. It's up to them in the end of the day, you know.
Do you think actually, you know, you were saying about having those outlets, those creative outlets, in order to be able to express yourself, and I wonder now, do you think in any way being a musician, being an artist, or being, you know, a public figure, for lack of a better term, or like putting stuff out for, you know,
Yeah.
public consumption, do you think then that can actually, for some artists, you know, you can speak about yourself or you can speak about others, I don't know, but if like the stuff isn't getting the traction they think it deserves, or if the effort, if the reception doesn't reflect the effort that it takes to, if it's disproportional, that can actually perpetuate those negative feelings, or
Yes, but I think if you're like, oh fuck this, it's not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I think you need to reevaluate why you're actually doing it.
yes,
You know, like, I think if you're doing it just for fame, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'd actually know of someone who did this. I'm obviously not going to name them,
sure,
but he was very, very kind of up his own hole. Had these songs that they're pretty good. They're good songs, but I didn't like him because of the way he was talking about him and how he thought they were the best thing since fucking sliced
They
bread.
kind of have the world owed him, like the listenership kind of.
Say again, sorry.
Do you feel like the world kind of owed him that listenership?
Yeah, he just sort of had this like so much expectation of success.
Yeah.
Like he's not Irish. He came to Ireland in order to find that success, and within a few months, he was like, "I'm not getting anywhere."
This isn't your Kiwi mate, no? I'm joking.
No, it's not. No. I don't associate myself with this guy anymore.
No, I'm joking. It was just because you said
Gary Bond. He's a legend.
No, you just made that connection about he came to Ireland frame. It's like
Yeah.
End of the page of the body center.
Yeah. No, not him. No, he's class, man.
He is Sam.
But no, so this guy, like after a few months, he wasn't getting like, I mean, he was getting a little bit, but like, he wasn't fucking top of the charts or anything. I think that's what he expected, and he I could tell he was very self-conscious behind everything, and he was very like I'd be arguing with him all the time about like the way he talks to people and stuff. Just had a completely different morality to me. So we'd always clash. He eventually went back to where he came from.
Now he's a multimillionaire.
Nah, but I don't like whoever. There are friends of mine who are listening to this. They know exactly who I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah, that sort of thing. Like I don't think you'll get anywhere with that sort of mindset. It's like when you're writing something, if your first priority is to write something that will make you successful, that's pointless. And it's just going to lead to sort of a false art,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you think, we're talking about like combating isolation, loneliness there. Do you think actually the music scene is a good part of that because you're connecting with musicians and you're connecting with people who like promoters or the sound guy or whatever? Do you think it's actually a good means of combating that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Like and a lot of people think that there's like, there's so much competition. You shouldn't like help other artists or you shouldn't get to know them. I think that's bullshit, man.
I don't understand that though.
Yeah, like
I do find some people it's a bit weird because I think some people do naturally get elevated and they get kind of opportunities that other people don't, and that's fine, but it's weird when they get to such a level of success that they become inaccessible to the community that kind of help foster them. I think that's a bit weird, and I wish it wasn't like that. Not for every artist. Some artists have had like really great success, and like Sprint is a good example. I think of a band who are very very successful. They're on a record label. They're touring the world, but like they'll still do like a charity gig at Workman's or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of for me just like example of like that's how you should do it. It's like not be like, well, we're big now, so fuck you. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Like like you have to remember who gave you the platform to begin with. Like if, for example, I was playing through arena, like you said, I will, right?
Yeah. This time next year.
Yeah. I will always go back to Sinead and play the open mic or play a little gig there or something, because that, like, Sinead is where I owe a lot to Chris there,
Sure.
But yeah, no, like, and even with some open mics that aren't on anymore, I know a few people that that was where they started, and now they're touring and stuff. And I've met a guy who was just in America and was in the UK doing a tour, and we only started chatting because he's from Tipperary and I'm in Clare, so we're pretty close. But there's sort of that. He's part of that group of artists that have like kind of gotten bigger now and have sort of left Ireland behind, living in England, sort of thing. And yeah, like I kind of find it sad that like they live in England, so like it might be difficult for them to get back, but still, it'd be sad. It's sad to think that.
Well, there is like even just like an hour plane ride from London to Dublin. It's like so much cultural difference. And actually, controversial perhaps for any Republicans listening, but a lot of similarities too, actually.
Mm.
I especially find, like, I don't know if you've been to England much, but like especially the northern cities like Manchester and Liverpool and places like that, very similar to Dublin, very similar. Like,
Yeah, I
the
haven't been
cities,
there actually.
their cities are shockingly
I've been to
similar.
London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
London, but even London has like areas that are like I can't think of the name of the areas off the top of my head, but like I think it's King's Road or something like that, and it really reminds me of like Dame Street
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff like that. There's all these, like, I think it was King's Road. I could be getting it wrong, but like you do see some, obviously on a much grander scale because it's so big there. Like the streets are wider, the city's wider. You know, if you talk about this with other people, I don't know if you agree with me with this. I think it's interesting. London has a population of, I think, if I'm getting it correct, about 6 million in London alone, and no matter what area I go in that city, I never feel compacted or crowded. Like here in Dublin, like we have 500,000, I think, in the city, live in the city, and like everywhere I go, I just feel like a sardine.
Yeah. Oh, but like compared to London, Dublin's fucking tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but even like making the consideration for the smaller population, it still doesn't feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like any area you go in Dublin, like within the county, you're just like,
Yeah, I can see that.
you're all
Yeah.
compacted.
Yeah, like I think, but London has such a better infrastructure to handle all those people as well. You know, bro, the underground is fucking incredible.
Yeah, oh, it really is.
Yeah.
Because like I find London to be kind of a labyrinthine maze, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if I
yeah.
didn't have Google Maps, I
Oh,
would die.
yeah, yeah.
I would
No,
die.
no, no, no.
And then I was thinking about, like, 'cause like my man Sophie used to go to like London in the '80s. I'm like, I don't know how she survived there. Like I don't know anyone like going there survived. And
Yeah.
I guess like I was thinking about it, like I guess the tube map would be your point of
Yeah,
reference.
yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, like it closed at like midnight, so it's like, yeah, if that was a 24-hour thing, I think we just the best system probably in the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy good how
Yeah,
good it is.
it's funny actually. I was in London there, like I think it was maybe October. So, I went over on my own to go to this show, that was on in the O2, right?
Who were you seeing?
These YouTubers called Ghost Files.
Okay.
But like, yeah, they do like haunted videos and stuff like that. But they're pretty funny. So like, they were doing a show, and I was like, go see them. And so I booked my Airbnb close to the O2. I was like, oh, perfect, you know, I could be able to go to the O2. So I think the show was on at like 7.
Yeah.
I rocked up at like 6 o'clock. Doors at 6. And I was like, where am I going? I showed to the security guy. He's like, oh, that's the other O2.
Oh, there's two ones?
There's the O2 Arena.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the O2 fucking theater or whatever.
Yeah, because O2 is like a brand.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
sponsor.
yeah.
Actually, I had a similar thing because I used to work at the Olympia, and it was called the Tree Olympia.
Yeah,
some people come for the Tree Arena.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I've actually
yeah,
had that
yeah,
happen
yeah,
too,
yeah.
and I was like, oh no, that's. And it's always a nightmare because, like, especially if someone doesn't like speak English particularly well, and you're trying to like say to them, no, you have to like walk all the way over here, got into Lewis, and then go to the point, and you're trying to like explain to them. We're like, no, you're just in the wrong area.
But like, but when he told me, he was like, bro, this is like, and the O2 Arena is in East London.
Yeah.
The other one was in West London.
Yeah.
And he was like, you gotta go. So I fucking got the underground.
Yeah.
Bro, I made it there. 2 minutes to go. I sat down on my seat and the thing started. Like I made it just on
That's good.
time.
You don't just have to sit around looking at an empty stage.
Yeah.
I guess swings around.
It was, man, underground saved my life that day. You know, it was great.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to the Dublin Metro, or do you think it's just a waste of money?
Will that even be built in my lifetime, bro?
Probably not. No, I was thinking about that. Like, I was actually arguing with someone about this, and I was saying, like, I felt it was kind of needless decadence because I felt like the big argument about it is that transport from the airport to the centre. That's what their argument is.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why not just, instead of like investing all this money in the metro, just invest more money in buses that go directly for like 24-hour buses that come every, say, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Just put that money towards that instead. And the person was arguing, she went, can't you put all that money in buses or something like that, or there wouldn't be enough drivers or something? I'm like, all right. That's what I thought would be better.
Bro,
my theory is, I think it's a bit of like insecurity on the part of the government, because I think they're like, well, you know, every other European capital has a metro. Dublin's a big important capital as well, so we should have a metro too. It's just a signature thing.
Yeah.
But I was talking to someone from Belfast, and they were quite amazed that like that we have like the Lewis. Like they think that's like a godsend. They're like, we have nothing like that in Belfast, and I was like, Yeah, and it's like, well, grass always looks greener on the other side. You know?
Bro, there was a problem on the Lewis on the way here for me.
Yeah.
It sucked, man.
It's not great, especially now. Like all these people, you know what you should do actually as a means of promo. I always notice that there are always these like people will hate you for it, but if you want your songs getting people's ears, just start blasting them on public transport without earphones. Because I was thinking about this, man. I think people who do that, like, because I get embarrassed, like even if if my phone accidentally they hear like a YouTube video I was listening to or something like that, like I get really embarrassed, like shit, and like shut it down straight away. The people who listen to like music and stuff on like public transport without earphones, they always have the worst taste in music.
I know.
Like no one, I wonder has anyone ever like Shazammed something when they're on a bus?
Nah. It's funny actually. I came across this video because I've like trained my algorithm to find these like promotion ideas and stuff. Yeah. You know, I try to keep the memes out of my artist Instagram.
Yeah.
They find their way back in,
of course.
but I can't help but watch them. So then the algorithm's like, oh, he watching. But anyway, I came across this video of a guy who's like, how I became the most hated artist in LA or whatever, and it's because he put like fake parking tickets on a bunch of cars with a QR code saying pay here or like check more info here, and it just streams to his Spotify.
And then I expect people, like, I guess from his mind, he's expecting people to do that and then kind of like laugh because they're like, oh, we don't actually have to pay things, feel good because and then associate that good feeling with his music. That's what I would assume. But in reality, people are just gonna be like, fucking idiot, wasting my time. You know, like what dickhead, and then just like dislike it.
Yeah.
But hey, even if it's like a YouTube link and someone dislikes it out of frustration, algorithm. So
True.
You know what I did? I fucked up my algorithm a little bit on YouTube because I thought I was really smart doing this. Every time I would get an ad that was like that I felt was annoying or obnoxious, I would so when I signed into my account, you can press the three dots and then you can block ads.
Oh yeah.
And then when you block the ad, now it doesn't always, like they say block the ad. Sometimes they still show up, but they try and recommend it to you less and less. So I was just doing that for every ad. I thought it was like really smart. And not only that, once you block the ad, the video just continues. So especially if it was like a 15, 20-second ad, I'm like, fuck's sake, I'm just trying to. And I think this is my thing. If you're getting into media, like very few YouTube ads need to be like 10 seconds or more. Like there's so many ones where it's like they make their point, they make their pitch like within the first 5 seconds, and then like the rest of the video is just either a bad comedy sketch, or it's like just people talking or regurgitating information or just over like, and I'm always like, fuck this. So I thought it was being really smart, block every ad, and then I started getting these like ads for like YouTube Kids, like ads that would be advertised. So it's like piano lessons. I keep getting these like piano lessons, right? And you can't block ads. I don't know why, but you can't block ads that are targeted towards kids. So now I'm stuck watching these stupid kids advertisements. So I was like, fuck this. So I thought I was being really smart, but I just screwed myself up. It's so annoying. Cause like now it's just a thing called, I don't want to give them a promotion. I can't think of the name of the company, but it's a company that's meant to teach kids how to play piano. Okay. And every ad is just like, it starts with a kid playing piano. It's like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I've fucking seen this ad so many times. It's like brain tumor. It's a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and then they hit a boom note, and they go, "Oh, that's not right." Boop boop boop, and that's like this company name can teach you how to play piano, and it's just like, oh, shut up.
Bro, you've learned this ad like off my head.
Dude, I like it sucks, man, because it's just like I have to listen to it because it's like you thank God it is a 20-second ad, but it's one of them 20-second ads you can skip after 5 seconds. But even then, it's just like those 5 seconds. It's just like you can get a lot of information in 5 seconds. Apparently, I didn't know.
Oh man, 30-second like unskippable ads. That's crazy.
Do you ever think about like if you were doing video ads? Because I was watching YouTube the other day, and an ad popped up from Universal Music, and it's promoting one of their artists. I won't say who they were, but because I'm not trying to call them out, but even then, it's like the music itself is actually pretty good, but it's just like you just have that inherent frustration of what you're watching being interrupted. Yeah. So do you ever think about like if you were to use YouTube ads as like the video source, because it is a good source in terms of like people are watching it and stuff like that. But do you ever think like people would associate your music then with like that frustration?
Probably, yeah. I haven't done like YouTube ads much, but if there's a way of having it be an ad that's at the beginning, and not like in the middle, I would probably choose that. Yeah, because that seems less frustrating.
Yeah. Because even if it's out something where it's like, hey, don't skip that ad. Let me tell you about my new music and all.
Yeah. It might be a little bit obnoxious though. Yeah.
But the problem
Ads are
is,
always like that though.
The funny thing is, I critique all these ad agencies for having these unoriginal ads. Because like I'm like I hate every like for me the perfect ad would just be, here's our product, like 5 seconds on. Here's our product. Here's why you should buy it. Buy, right? Like I hate when it's like trying to be personable. I hate when it's trying to be funny. I hate when it's trying to be dramatic or because you get like there was an ad that was like about sustainability and it's like do your part in all this and like don't be inspirational. Don't do anything like that. Just
so basically they can't do anything to
pretty
help
much
you.
Like no. Just be as prosaic and boring as possible and just say we have this thing. We think you should buy it.
Okay.
Here's why. Like, you know, I think they all like ads for like, you know, where it's just like a guy like painting his what do you call it? Jeez, I can't even think of the term.
His house?
No, what do you call like the wall in the back garden but it's made of wood instead of stone?
A fence?
I could not think of that word, fence. Painting his fence and you just go, it's more sustainable, it's more durable, buy this paint product. Like that's what great, got it go.
I see what you mean.
You know, shit like that. Just stick to the facts. Like,
Yeah.
I know that's why I wanted that last. But like, then when I'm thinking, like, if I was to do what you're doing, if I was like you, and I wanted to advertise a piece of music or like an album or something like that, I'm trying to think. Well, I don't actually know how to do that without being the obnoxious guy that I complain about. Have you ever considered that, like, in terms of just programming?
Yeah.
I can't believe I couldn't think of the word fence. I was like, I'm so tired, dude. You have no idea. I'm just perpetually exhausted.
Yeah.
That's my
Aren't
excuse.
we all, man? Aren't we?
Yeah, that's my excuse.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I haven't really thought of like very official, talking head kind of ads. The only real ad that I have right now is sort of like a reel from clips from the last gig.
Yeah.
That I'll probably just use that. But now that you're saying like, just keeping it real, like simple and boring.
Well, that's
some
what
ideas.
works for me. I don't know. Maybe ad agencies would be like, well, we've done the research, we've done this calculated data and blah, 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 and these are the ads that work. So I don't know what works. I'm just saying what would frustrate me the least.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Subjectively.
Yeah, trying to be exciting for it's an ad. Like, you know, who are you kidding?
Yeah.
You know, I get that.
Yeah.
But
and don't be self-aware.
Getting some ideas.
I hate that meta shit where it's like, oh, another ad, but don't worry, you can skip it. Just let me tell you, shut up.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, is that another idea gone?
No. Painting a fence, just like, hey, stream my album.
Yeah, okay.
I kind of like that, actually. I kind of like that. Yeah.
Oh, you could have you paint the fence while listening to the music.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, actually. I'll just have to get a fence.
All right, I have a pitch for you, right? So it's you on Dublin bus, right? And you're just kind of like minding your own business, and then a couple of kids down the back of the bus start playing music, and it's your music, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, normally I hate that, but not now, and then it's just like your album come up.
That's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. I like it, but like that's sort of the sort of. It's part of that persona I want to do, where it's sort of goofy. You know? I like that.
You have to get you have to get permission from Dublin Bus.
Oh yeah.
Or would you do it Gonzo?
What do you mean, Gonzo?
So like just sneak on the camera. And
I'd probably do that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I would get.
Well, no, dude. It's funny. I was on a film shoot last year in Phoenix Park, and we didn't get permission. And someone must have complained, and we weren't bothering anyone. We were away.
Permission to film in Phoenix Park?
You do, but it's free. So you get like permission. So like you don't have to pay, but you just get filming permit. And someone must have complained, and a park ranger came over to us and was like, "Are you guys filming here?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, it's just a student film." Which, But it was just like a film that we're doing independently.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Wouldn't you ask for permission?" It's like, he just made some bullshit excuse. Like, "Oh, we tried, but we couldn't." You know, like, it's free. And I was like, "All right." So there you go. If you ever want to film in Phoenix Park, it is free. You just have to get permission.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy because we were like in the wooded area because we're shooting this like just like kind of comedy action thing, and we're in just like the wooded area. No one's around. We're not bothering anyone. It's not like we're in the middle of like where people are centralized. It's not like that big statue and stuff like that, or big cross rather, or somewhere like that, or where the area is. It's just like no, I don't know. Just, one passerby is you're filming something.
I hate that, man. I hate that. Yeah.
So you're talking about. I want to talk a bit about your album then. So as you mentioned, you recorded this a while ago. You kind of sitting on it. You'd actually sat on your first EP Ignite for a while, but that was obvious COVID, and you were saying at the time that you were going through a bit of depression. Which for those actually who don't like, I don't know. For me, I always just thought depression was kind of like something that everyone kind of understood, but I guess it's not. I guess not as universal. So for those who haven't experienced it, like lethargy is a big part of depression. It's just like there's no motivation to do anything. There's just like it's so like it completely destroys your appetite for anything. And even when you do have to kind of force yourself into it, it's done with such a degree of kind of detachment that you may as well not have, if that makes sense. So like I've just sometimes just been not in the right mood, or but I have a deadline, so I'm like I have to do it, and I just know it's like fucking it's like trying to juggle rocks or something. It's just like or boulders rather. It's just like impossible, to get shit done when you're actually depressed. So so understandably that was the reason for that. But in terms of Dark Earth,
Yeah. Got it right.
What's kind of like what are you kind of spacing? Is just kind of like I want to build my profile before I release the record, because you're saying when the first one came out, when Ignite came out, you just dropped it, and you were like no one was listening, and I didn't know why. So now it's like you're trying to rectify that, I guess.
I am, and I'm kind of tailoring it to the industry we're in as well. Like we're kind of in the earworm era of music, where
it has to be
it's
like
one chorus over and over again from this one song, right? It's all singles now, so that's what I'm doing. Like I'm probably going to release maybe 6 or 7 singles from this 12 track.
Yeah. Which is what I'm saying. It's like, it used to be before, like,
3
like
singles or something.
3, 4 max.
Yeah.
But you know what they used to do when in the CD era, kind of like before that bubble burst, like in the late 90s, they would get the best songs on, and then you just have just like an album just of like kind of mediocre tracks, and then just like, but the really good ones were like the 4 singles or whatever, and then people would buy the album, and it's like just skipping. So, so don't do
it's
that.
A bit silly.
Yeah, don't do that.
I guess it is kind of pushing artists to make more better quality music.
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, like I think each song on the album, even the songs I'm not going to have as singles, I do feel like they stand on their own. Some are clearly album songs, but it doesn't mean that I feel like they're bad or anything. Like I had this album written with other songs that I removed and replaced with newer songs because I didn't feel they were good enough.
So have you been constantly curating in that time, or?
Say again?
Have you been constantly curating in that time? Curating the tracks?
Well, I had the album written during COVID, and then over the next year or so, I had written a couple more songs, and then I stopped for a while. And then last year, when I was like, I'm going to record that album, I came back to it and was like, okay, what's the best structure for this album? And I replaced some songs. Some actually I had completely forgotten. So then they weren't meant to be recorded then, were they?
Yeah.
It's like, I think Paul McCartney said, like he was asked in an interview, or maybe it was John Lennon, he was asked in an interview, how do you remember all the songs that you write? It's like, if I forget them, they're not good enough.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the same way. Like I had these songs that I think like I went from iCloud, an iPhone, to Android, so I lost all those voice notes. I just had the lyrics and,
you couldn't
stuff.
access them through like even like the web browser?
No,
really?
There's no voice note backup there.
Oh, really?
And like I even tried requesting my data as a download. Not there.
Oh wow,
sucks.
I thought everything just went to the iCloud once you.
Maybe it does, but maybe I just didn't have it selected for the voice notes or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, they got lost. So those songs that I didn't remember, I think it was only 2 though. They just were like, okay, they're gone. Into the wind. Yeah.
Maybe they'll come back to you someday and you'll be like, do you think you would remember them if you accidentally stumbled upon them again?
Yes.
Because I've done that before.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a musician, but like I play music and I have songs that I like, and like every now and again I'll just remember like a riff or something. Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah,
kind of,
yeah, yeah.
it's weird, like in the back of your memory, your residual
Yeah.
mind, you're kind of like, oh shit, that's something I've
Yeah.
written before.
It's funny actually. I have remembered parts of the songs that I
Yeah.
removed, and I'm like, oh yeah, that one. Still not good enough.
Fair enough. If you're like,
So
yeah.
I was confirmed on removing it, you know. But yeah, no, I'm very proud of the lineup of the album, you know. Yeah, as I said, you know, I'm going to be releasing like I had like there's 12 songs, and I picked out. I got everyone to give me top 5.
Yeah.
And Dreams We Missed is like 6th, and then Broken is 5th, and now the next one is the next.
Do you have an idea when it's coming out?
Uh,
Or do you have an idea for when the album in general is coming out? Or is it just going to be next year sometime? Like
maybe
once Singers are out?
I don't have a date or a time frame.
That's fine, but,
I
like-
want to do all these singles properly.
Sure.
Like, and by properly I mean music video,
Yeah.
lyric video, maybe an acoustic version sort of thing. Yeah, like and look with Broken, like we only shot it less than 2 weeks ago, the music video, and then released it like a couple of days later. Like it was on time in the schedule, but I want to be prepped, like far ahead in time.
Sure.
So I want to do a music video for this next song before it even comes out.
Yeah,
Like,
it's funny though, because
you know?
most of the time, like with some of my work, like I get them out just in the nick of time a lot of times, and like, just like, you know, I'm
Yeah.
really close to the deadline. But every now and again, I do give myself enough prep time, and I get it out. And it's just a weird thing where you're kind of whittling at your time, just like just waiting on it. Then once you have everything prepped, do you think there's benefits to, I guess, being a little scatterbrained and a little up against it versus having that time to just relax and decompress?
It depends on what you're actually releasing. Like if it's a song, then maybe you're waiting around for the song to drop. But the promotion of the song, videos, reels, all that kind of shit, it's better to be waiting to drop those once they're all done.
Yeah.
Like what I'm doing is, and I didn't expect to be kind of promoting this on this episode, but I'm putting together like a video reels package for artists, where it's like 27 reels shot in one day. And if you want to release them every 3 days or every 2 days, that's 2 months or 3 months of content to promote a song. So what basically would be, well, like I've had a couple of meetings with artists about it, and one of them doesn't want to do the whole miming thing because it's not really them. So they're doing like a talking explainer of the songs and stuff like that. So that's fine. But whatever they want to do, it'd be 27 reels of whatever it is. And I think because like it's quite an overwhelming thing to have all this content in TikTok and Instagram and all these reels and all this kind of thing, and trying to figure it out, trying to promote day by day is very overwhelming and stressful. So that's what I want to take out and help artists do. Pretty cheap as well, be €120 just for 27 reels. And yeah, I think like I've done it for these songs, and I just have to press upload on the day. You know, it's just ready to go. And I think it'll be a big help for people. Yeah, like that's what you want to do. You want to have a content calendar of like, okay, this day I'm dropping one where I talk about a lyric. This one, it's going to be a POV, you do this bullshit, right? So having a calendar is good as well, and kind of having those videos prepped.
Do you ever get artists who are just like, couldn't be arsed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
Because like what you're saying is smart, but it is also something that requires. I mean, it kind of, as you were saying that, I was thinking like it's kind of like taking medication. Like some days, you're like, I remember taking my tablet today.
Yeah, did I remember to upload my reel today?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yesterday I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on the artist. Like, yeah. It depends on the artist. If they don't really give a shit, then fair enough. I'll power to them. But if they want to develop an audience, I think that's what you kind of have to do nowadays, you know. Like you see all these like TikTok musicians who sell out shows who no one's ever heard of, but they still are full-time musicians. They do all of this kind of shit, you know. So it's something that if you want to make it as a musician, this is what you have to do. You have to be a fucking cog in the machine of shitty TikToks. So
people can resent that, but it's kind of the reality of it, I guess.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like you're also, and this kind of goes back to what that guy I was telling you about, who had only fame in mind.
Yeah.
All he would do is copy everything that everybody else was doing, and he was just doing the same thing over and over again. But what he wasn't was authentic.
Yeah.
He wasn't he wasn't himself.
But the music good.
It was fine, yeah, it was grand. But he was very much like, I don't know if
Like he was a talented guy.
Yeah. But what he was doing was just doing exactly what everyone else was doing, and not putting his own spin on it. You know, like what I'm trying to do is, like, I don't know if you've checked out any of the stupid reels I've done, but I did one where I had a clip from when we were recording the album and Broken. At the end of the song, there's these las like la 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 la. We layered a bunch of vocals over that, and one of them is like a la, 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 like a super high one. And I started off the clip with just that clip of me doing the like a video of me doing it, and I'm like, this is what we had to add in, blah 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 blah. Right, it's a comedy thing. So I'm putting my own sort of goofiness into it, and I think that's important for artists to find what kind of persona they want to be, right? Instead of just fucking miming your song.
Right.
You know, you want to put something that's your own onto it too.
Yeah.
You
Kind
know?
of seeing how the sausage is made.
Yeah, exactly. And like you can, it's sort of a trial and error thing to what you feel works. And even though it is a bit cringe, and you might be like, oh, I fucking hate this, but over time you kind of get used to it. And if you want to be a full-time musician,
That's
kind of what you
interesting,
got to
'cause,
do,
As
right?
you were saying that, I'm kind of like envisioning it then. So the idea, I guess, is that like you hear the music in kind of the sparse first, and then you're like, wait, there's this element to it, like as you mentioned, the kind of high note, or like then you hear maybe like a bass track or something, and you'd be like, wait, how do all these things go together? I can't wait to hear how this kind of accumulates.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Kind of, yeah. And I'm sort of being like, vulnerability is a big thing as well. You know, I'm being vulnerable by showing this embarrassing clip of me singing like super high, right? So it is kind of half and half of me trying to like show my personality as a goofy guy, right? And also giving insight to how the song is built, and because I do say like, oh, it's interesting to see how adding this thing really added to the song, blah blah blah, blah, right? Yeah, like you just kind of have to see what works. You know, start writing out some scripts of things you want to talk about for the songs. Like what I do find would be is helpful is saying like, oh, like this line, picking out that line and explaining what it means and how it means to you. You know, like it goes back to who you want to be as an artist. You know, if you want to be like I know a friend of mine who's a musician. He's very like versed in like mental health activism and all this kind of thing, and he's very like serious about his music. You know, he's very like, this line is means this, and I'm very serious about this, and it means
Every
this.
syllable
But yeah, and but like even like how he portrays himself is very like emotional. And then I'm kind of the polar opposite then, you know. So it just, you kind of have to think about what kind of artist you want to be, what kind of persona you want to portray yourself as.
Yeah.
And that goes back to this vulnerability and authenticity of the artist, you know. Like if you look at other artists, who are doing well, it's because they are themselves.
Yeah.
You know, like this, and that's what that guy who went back to where he came from wasn't doing. You know, he was just copying the same thing that everyone else is doing, but like he felt like a robot.
Yeah.
You know, and I like there's no personal touch to it, and I don't know. I just don't agree with that kind of thing. You know,
That's fair.
and it becomes fun after a while. You know,
I just wonder sometimes, like, people get kind of swept up in the zeitgeist. I was actually talking to an artist recently called Mobboy, who were a band from Belfast who've been kind of tangentially kind of affiliated with the kind of post-punk movement. And I was asking the artist about that, and he was like, I hate the term post-punk, because, like, he was like, you know, he was kind of saying a similar thing, where it's like, you know, this was the music we genuinely kind of wanted to do, and then, like, it happened to kind of coincide with in music that kind of became in vogue, where there's sort of in a lack of originality, and there are exemplars in the kind of post-punk scene, but I do find that, like, with, say, post-punk, that it becomes a vogue sort of post Gill Band, post Idols and all that, not only in Ireland but in the UK and the US. And so I think particularly it's very it's really blown up in Ireland and the UK in particular, but it's also, you know, kind of becoming somewhat global. But you know, it's a weird thing too, because, like, you can, even though there is this kind of, like, you know, what you call it, kind of explosion of people who are in that genre, you can kind of, like, discern between people who are doing it with sincere passion and interest, and people who are doing it because it's the music that's in vogue at the moment, you know?
yeah.
Do you feel that way? As one, like, in terms of, like, the music you want to create, having some kind of semblance in the music scene, let's say, or having kind of like a popularity within, I guess, I don't know, people's consciousness at the time. Do you find that you'd be able to kind of pick out between the people who genuinely want to kind of create music in that scene, and people who are just aping what's popular? That was a long question.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think, like I do like with there is this sort of like folk is making a big comeback.
Yeah.
And I find that everybody seems to be writing songs, like love folk songs, like folk love songs that are really easy to promote, you know. And I've noticed that I barely have any love songs that are like happy love songs.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of like going through the shit sort of love songs, you know. And I find it a little bit hard sometimes to think of ideas of how to promote that, and then I come across all these artists who are like promoting it really well because they have this one like 3-word theme. It's like you found her, you know, that sort of thing, you know, and it's really easy to push those kind of songs, but also like as much as I'd be like, oh, you know, it'd be good to write something like that. Because it's easy to promote.
They're applauding you, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
They really agree with that sentiment. Yeah. They're like, yeah, we're taking it too.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't want to force myself to write something that I'm not feeling.
Yeah,
you know?
no, totally. That's the thing. Like, you know, like some of the artists, like, you know, it's like, I don't know, the art and the promotion is separate, but I think some people like might blend the two.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
It's interesting if genuinely you have something that later down the line you can tell. In fact, I think it's interesting, like, to get naked ears on it and to kind of go, like, what stands out to you on this, and maybe that's the thing you promote if it's like a bunch of friends or people who have no real investment on a personal level, in terms of, like, you know, obviously they want you to succeed, but like your success isn't going to reflect on them, so they're just going to give their honest opinion. They're not thinking of it, I guess, in the same terms that you would be. Like, that can be kind of benefit too, of going like, oh shit, that's the thing that stands out. Okay, like, that didn't resonate with me at all, but like, that seems to be the consensus here, you know.
Yeah, it's.
Have you had moments like that?
Yeah, I have. Maybe like not in promotion, but like when I was showing my friends the album and getting their top 5.
Could I ask roughly what was the sample size for that?
I think it was about 20.
Okay.
Yeah, around 20 people.
Yeah.
As
you were showing them,
Yeah, and what I noticed was songs that I didn't expect to be popular were really popular.
Yeah.
Like I have like the last song on the album is very like acoustic, and then it just goes all out like hard rock. Like it just comes out of nowhere and it ends the whole album. And that was like super top, like towards the top. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that at all. It's obviously not going to be a single though, because it's like 2.5 minutes and it's the last song of the album. I want it to be part of the album when I release it, you know. But I found that funny, and it goes back to how it's you know, artists can be wrong a lot, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, you're not a musician, what do you know? But like, they're a listener of music.
Yeah.
That's important, you know.
And everyone listens to music. Like, no, I don't think there's
yeah.
anyone, even like deaf people, like listen to the vibrations. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone, just because you're not a musician, the fact that you're not a musician actually makes it better, because you're a sort of an objective outlook on the whole thing, and it's good to have for judging a song, or picking out what songs are the best ones to release, you know. It's funny, I did expect 2 songs to be the top, and they were the top.
Yeah.
So I was right.
So did you find that your views were aligning with the people, or was it just those 2 were the exemplars? The outliers, rather.
Mostly, I was like, okay, I was probably about 75% right what I expected, but there was some songs that I thought would be like bottom, that were like pretty up there.
Yeah.
So I was happy with that. You know, I'm not going to release it as a single, but like, I call it the worst point song, which is like end of Act 2. It's the saddest one, right? That was like up there, but I consider it my least favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
You know, so it's nice to have that to hold on to, and even though my favorite song on the album wasn't as popular, but I'm still happy with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a nice mix of, I'm really happy with this, I'm not so happy about that, but people are really happy with it.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess I'll ask a few final questions and I'll let you get on with your day. The first thing I was going to ask you, mentioned kind of the cinematic structure kind of influence and the release of the album. You know, with like with cinema terms, like say you have a 90-minute movie, it's like Act 1 should be 20 minutes, and then Act 2 should be this many minutes, and then Act 3 should be like the last 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So do you have that, like, in terms of like Act 1 should be this many songs, Act 2 should be this many songs, and Act 3 should be this many songs, or would it go to that extent?
No, it would be more dynamics of the song.
Right.
You know, like there's sort of an introduction song.
Yeah.
And then there's an inciting incident song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's the act break song.
Are these terms like known generally by people, or is this just people
Probably
who
not.
cinema? Yeah.
So your introduction is
Here's a guy.
like, here's a guy on his day, right?
Yeah.
And then the inciting incident is like the first time he meets the girl,
Yeah.
right?
So
like
big-
he goes
so big
out and he
changes
meets,
as well.
yeah. It's like Bilbo Baggins going on the journey.
Yeah.
That's his inciting incident. It's the beginning of the journey, and then the act break, when it turns into the introduction to the body, right, is sort of like, okay, so the act break would be like he wakes up after spending the night with her.
Yeah.
Then now he's on this journey of this woman who's in his life, right? That's that, and there is that sort of structured songs, and there's sort of like a I kind of imagine it like a wave, like the dynamics of the songs, you know, and the act break song kind of brings it down a small bit, and then the first song of Act 2 would be quite soft, you know, getting into the emotional side of it, and then it brings it back up and goes back down, sort of thing. There is a midpoint as well. I guess I have put in more film points in it, you know.
Yeah.
Like the midpoint would be, she has a boyfriend. Oh shit! Whole story changes. You know, that's what a midpoint does.
That's your M. Night Shyamalan moment.
And like instrumentally, it does switch. Like with Broken, there's a lot of brass and violin and orchestra, but by the halfway point of the album, the orchestra kind of dies out and it becomes more rock,
Yeah.
bits of blues maybe, but then like it brings back the orchestra at the end. So I do have that sort of, sort of midpoints and structured stuff. But yeah, and then I have the worst point, which is the saddest song. She leaves. She goes back to fucking wherever she came from, right? And then you have Act 3, which is, yeah, but like I think Act 3 is probably like longer than Act 1, and Act 2 is probably not as long as it should be in an animated movie. Like,
because like it depends on like the story. Because like the longest act, most people expect to be Act 2.
yeah,
But it can be Act 3. Depending on the story you're telling.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have
No.
to ask, do you think about the medium of your music? Because I don't know if you're like, I don't know, do you listen to like vinyl or tape or anything? Because one thing I was very interested in when I started listening to vinyl was how you have to kind of structure the album twice. You have to have like a beginning, middle, and end 2 times over, kind of. I don't know if you're even thinking about that, but like, do you think about like the medium that people who listen to the record will kind of affect it, or do you kind of like pre-plan it? Because like, I assume now it's going to be like a digital release primarily, but if hypothetically down the line, it ever did get reissued or something,
Oh yeah, like
is it future-proofed, I guess?
it's not right now. It is just digital release right now, but I do want to create vinyls eventually. But I need to remaster it for vinyl because a lot of people just throw their music onto vinyl. It sounds like shit.
How do we get the WAVs on here?
Yeah, but like it's not mastered for vinyl, and that's a big difference. I think it'll be like £600 for me to remaster it. But at least I don't have to re-record some things. But I do want to eventually put it on vinyl. And it's nice that
I have to say,
it's
€600
sort of,
for a remaster seems kind of cheap. But it's like, I thought it'd be like in the thousands.
I think it's like €50 per track.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just a remaster. Like
That's not too bad. Actually.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
I thought
it's really good.
Way worse.
Yeah, so did I. Like, because he was saying when we were recording it,
Who'd you record with? Where?
Same guy as I always did. Red Lake Sound Studios. Gary Duncan, legend. Very, very good. Very good guy.
And he was saying, like, for the quotes, if you were to do a remaster, it'd be 50 each.
Pretty much, yeah. But he's doing that for me because I've recorded it with him. It'd probably be more for someone else.
Yeah, that's like a friend discount.
Kind of, yeah.
Did you get him to get his opinion on the tracks and which ones to release, or did you kind of feel, well, he's working on the record, so I can't really solicit his opinion?
Oh yeah, like
because I know some producers or engineers are like very particular about it. Like, I don't want to give kind of my subjective artistic opinion on your work. I'm here to kind of facilitate what you want, and I feel like I'd be imposing. But
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, other producers are kind of content to kind of go like, okay, you want advice here, but like I'd be concerned if I were working on a record for a different artist, if I accidentally like screwed it up. Like, let's say, to go to the example you used at the beginning, what if I was the producer for Tin Lizzy and I went, I think you guys gotta cut that, boys are back in town shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd be afraid of accidentally fucking them over.
Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't.
But your relationship with his dynamic and things like that.
Yeah, like I like, in a producer, I like they're his songs as well.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it. They're everybody's songs who works on them.
Yeah,
because they put their own thing into it. Like with the number one song that I'm going to release, the last single, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do with the song, and I made some like acoustic demos of all the tracks and send it on to him, and he would develop ideas and stuff. And he was like, "This song is magic, man! I know exactly what to do with it." And I was like, "Off you go!" And we got like a cello in to do some nice stuff on it, and it's a duet with my now ex-girlfriend, but we're good. And it's beautiful though. I'm very happy with it. It's kind of haunting, but it's beautiful. You know what I mean?
She's okay. She's not going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to sue to get off the."
Nah, I've already talked to her about it, and like I told her, like, if you want me to take you off it.
It was an amicable split.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, like it's fine.
No, because like I can imagine, like, if it was contentious,
if it was bad, then it would be different. Yeah, but no, like we're good,
No,
and it's.
I don't want that with you, probably.
No, it's all right. But no, like the way I see it, my dad, he helped me write my first song, and the melodies are not bad in it, but the lyrics suck.
Your dad's a musician, is he?
He's a drummer.
Okay.
He's been a drummer for the last 45 years. But he kind of helped me when I was first getting started with songwriting and stuff. And he would say to me recently, "Oh, Aaron, you should rewrite that song. It's a good song." I'm like, "Nah, leave it in the past where it belongs." And I'm like that with every song, I even though I'm no longer with the person that was on the song, it is she's a collaborator, and it's sort of an homage to that time we had.
Was she a musician too, or was it just kind of like private thing? Yeah.
Just no, she's not a musician at all.
Yeah.
I mean, she sang in musical camp when she was younger and shit like that.
So she has the skill set, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, she does. Yeah. And it sounds great. It's. I didn't want a super an incredible singer. I wanted something human.
Yeah.
Not to say that she's shit, but it's not. It's a nice. Yeah. It's not. It's perfect for what it needs to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very of the idea of I've recorded these songs last year. They should stay the way they are, the way it was built at that time. Even though I'll remaster it for the vinyl and stuff, but I won't change any recording on it and stuff. So yeah.
I'll try not to take up too much more time. I want to ask a little bit about kind of taking, as you mentioned, the album structured in a kind of cinematic way. When you take the songs out from the context of the overall album and then release them as songs, how do you feel as singles, right? How do you feel about that in terms of them being kind of individual expressions that are devoid of that larger context?
That's a good question.
Thank you. I tried.
Did you come up with these before, or you on the fly?
So my mind could give me questions like this, but then in exchange I have to forget words like fence. So it's
of course, you have to make a bit of room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have very limited capacity up there.
No, I think it's important for songs to stand on their own.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's better imagining a lot of these songs as singles as well as being on this album.
Mm-hmm.
I think it leads to better quality songs, because every song has its own thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have that with every song on this. So I'm excited at the prospect of these standing on their own, but also being part of this larger picture, And I'll have I'll be doing a waterfall release. You know what I mean by that?
Waterfall release now.
So it's basically so waterfall release is
I have heard the term, but I don't know off the top of my head.
It's when, and I did it with this latest song, right? So you release a song, right? We have Dreams You Missed, my one I released in November. Next song comes. It's a single but two songs.
Oh, yes,
it's Broken, Dreams You Missed.
Yeah.
The next one, it'll be Rising Sun is the next song.
Okay.
Broken, Dreams You Missed. So it's like a waterfall. I'll have a little EP when I get 4 or 5 songs, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And it's basically...
That's very common now,
Yeah, it's basically so... if you release a song and it ends, and they don't hit stop or pause or anything.
Yeah, it just goes on to whatever.
What could it be? You don't know what it'll be. But if you have it as a waterfall, all those extra songs are going to play.
That's really great. And actually, I didn't realize what the purpose for that. Yeah,
that's how it works. You know. So I think it's cool to sort of have a new kind of structure in these songs, and it's funny how even though I sort of I'm releasing these based on popularity from my sample, right? The structure that they will end up being is actually quite a nice structure for a little EP, So I'm excited for that too.
Yeah. Do you ever doubt that maybe they were wrong, you were right in terms of the structure?
No.
Okay.
Because I'm not taking it from one person. I'm not taking it from 5 people. I'm taking it from a whole bunch of people. And I made an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
I did all the formulas where it added up the numbers at the end and stuff. Put a lot of time into it.
Jeez, are you good at Excel? That's
no.
I'm
useless, man.
I don't know who created that. I don't know how people think it's efficient. Every job you're working out, Excel. They're like
Yeah,
Excel.
yeah.
And like, the thing is like, Microsoft Office. Like, yeah, I can use Microsoft Office, but Excel, I'm not great. I can
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can use it, but I guess you wouldn't say I excel at it.
Fuck you.
I can use it. I have used it in the past,
I
but
just
every time I open that damn program,
Yeah.
man, I'm like never confident. Like,
I-
give me MS
yeah.
Word, give me
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Perfect. I can do it. I know exactly where everything is and what I need.
Yeah.
Fucking Excel.
Excel,
I had
yeah,
a friend
yeah.
who had to help me because we were working on the project. It was that short film we were working on. We had to
Yeah.
get the location ordered,
Mhm.
and he was just like,
Yeah,
and I was just
yeah.
like in awe. It was like watching like a really good like
Yeah,
basketball
yeah,
player or
yeah.
something. You're like, Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
there's so much to it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot, and like if you don't need it a lot, it's pointless learning that too.
So that's how you know you were serious about it, because you were like, I'm gonna
I
fucking
did
open
some
Excel.
formulas. Yeah. I mean, I had to Google them
Yeah.
and how it would work, but it got to work in the end, and
I think
made a
sometimes
little
when you
table.
watch, I think sometimes when you watch like video explainers on Excel, it actually makes it more complex.
Yeah.
It actually because you're
Yeah.
like, wait, how the fuck did you do that? I literally just been watching. I did not look
Yeah,
away.
and then he mentions in something that you need to go watch another video
Yeah.
to
I think
understand.
it's about programs in general, because like you do video editing, I do video editing. I used to work. I interned very briefly with an advertising agent and I was helping with the post production for their videos, right? And I was working with a guy who was much more experienced, and he didn't like the way I edited. Now I was editing, I was getting deadlines,
Yeah.
but he was saying he had means that were much more efficient, and he was like, Sean, like, here's what you should do instead. But then I was like, well, it's actually taking more time to try and emulate what you're doing.
Yeah.
How people kind of interact with software is so individualistic, and as long as it
100%,
works, I
yeah.
think that's what matters. As long as it
Yeah.
works. But yeah, I think like that's the problem sometimes when you're watching like explainers on like YouTube.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
It's that's like, well, this works for this guy, but maybe it wouldn't work for me. Or,
Yeah.
I don't know. And you don't want to watch you don't want to spend your evening watching like 10 different YouTubers.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like everyone has their own sort of personal touch the way they use the program. Yeah, for sure.
One final thing I want to ask you, you were mentioning about doing the promo leading up to your releases and stuff like that. Now, as someone who doesn't release music myself, and as maybe if you could explain this for other music fans who aren't musicians themselves or independent artists, the idea of pre-saving a song like on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, I understand that from the perspective of an artist who's signed to a record label, because those sort of things can kind of influence how much advertising the label will put into the records. You can see the demand. They go, 500 people pre-save the song. Well, 1,500 people pre-save this song, so we're going to give more significance and push to this one.
Yeah.
For an independent artist and for people who are self-releasing, what is the significance of the pre-save?
I don't care for it.
You don't care for it?
Nah.
That's the wrong person.
Have you ever pre-saved someone's song?
I have, actually, yeah.
Do you know how much effort it takes to pre-save a song? I was trying to do one earlier today.
Really?
You have to log into your Spotify.
Yeah.
Who knows their Spotify password?
Yeah, no, I just have mine. Like a lot of times when people say pre-save, it would be like an Instagram link.
Yeah.
So I'll just go to Instagram, and like it would just open the app where I'm already signed in.
Most of the time, it just doesn't open the app for me. I have to log in.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
And I've connected.
Yeah, I wouldn't know my login offhand.
Yeah,
I think
but that's the thing. I think it's
login
very.
is connected to like Facebook or something.
So
like
is
that.
mine, yeah. And I have to log into Facebook.
Yeah.
And I need a verification code, and I have to say yes, it's me.
Yes.
And it just failed.
Yeah.
It was like pre-save failed.
That is a pain in the arse. Yeah.
I find it like.
So it doesn't.
Most of the time, like I'm like I'll try, like they're friends of mine, so I'll try my best to pre-save it, and if it works, perfect, and I'll go to the effort of tracking down my password and stuff like that. But most of the time, I don't see people like if there's like a login to your Spotify.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
If
of
it does open the
I don't-
app, that's grand. People think.
Oh yeah, for sure. But nah, like the pre-save campaigns, it's a waste of money, man.
You think so?
I feel like, my song, like check out my song in a week.
Yeah.
That's just gonna annoy people who can't
Yeah.
listen to the song.
Yeah.
I don't care for it.
Because I pre-saved an album before. Because actually, I was on Spotify. I was on the app, and it said this artist is coming out with an album. Do you want to pre-save it? And I went, yeah, sure, whatever. And then all it really does is just give you notification. Oh, that song's out today.
Yeah.
That's what it's worth.
And like
So I was thinking, like from the artist's perspective, maybe there's some benefit to that. But
I don't know.
from a listener's perspective, I feel if say you're listening to ARREN, right, and you're listening to your music, when you release a new song, it's going to tell you, this new song's out anyway. You don't really need to do the pre-save.
Yeah.
Because it always like prioritizes
if you're following
the
them,
artist you're listening to.
yeah. I
Not
don't
even
know.
following, like even if you just listen to a
Oh, yeah.
particular artist a few times, it will tell you, by the way, that artist
Yeah.
you liked
Yeah,
they have a
yeah.
new song out.
No, see, like trying to pre-save through distribution company links and all that kind of shit, like DistroKid and all that kind of crap. I don't know. It's just too much effort for the average person. And like,
You said you did.
if you're big
Actually, in a
enough to
previous interview, you said you ditched DistroKid. What was it they were doing wrong?
zero customer service.
Yeah.
Like, I used to go by my real name, and when I was trying to transfer over my catalog of music to ARREN, right, it was the most difficult thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bots.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're doing.
And you know what's funny? I was speaking to a different artist who had someone had like the same name as them, like their artist name.
Yeah.
And that was a big problem.
That was an issue for me as well.
It was Michael Smith from Virgin.
Yeah.
Different thing.
That's the same issue with me. There is another ARREN out there. That's why I have to go all caps.
Yeah, yeah.
But some
really?
stores, yeah.
So even the case makes a factor. Oh well.
Yeah. Like I know people who put full stops at the end.
Yeah.
Just to make it different.
Yeah.
You know, I go by ARREN all caps because there's already another ARREN out there, which is ARREN, but it's like capital A and the rest is small.
Right.
Right. And it's actually only a week ago that guy released a song, and I showed up on my TikTok.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing because
I have to report it.
Like so many artists now are doing all cap names.
Yeah.
Like especially if it's a one-word name. Maybe that's the reason.
But like Amazon hates it. Then like my artist profile on Amazon is not all caps because they don't like it.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's very annoying. And like there's a bunch of different ARREN music all on this one page, but who listens to Amazon Music?
Well,
I don't care.
Sure.
I don't care.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody.
It's funny because like my stuff goes up, like the podcast goes up there, but that's just because the service I use for the podcast just uploads everywhere. If I did independently upload it everywhere, it'd just be like Spotify, YouTube. Although,
Spotify is 85% of listenership in the world.
Yeah.
So that's all they really care
it's funny,
about.
like, and maybe I'm just an exemplar, but you know, I know it's like a lot because you can actually now the service I use it used to be called Anchor, it's now called Creators for Spotify, and they've recently started actually telling you which platforms are being streamed on, so it's a bit better. So you can see they fudge it a little bit. So they say here's your Spotify plays and here's your plays everywhere else.
Right.
And I know it's about even. Like,
Really?
I guess a lot of people are using like Apple Podcasts.
Well, yeah, like podcasts I think are a lot different.
Yeah, like for music, definitely Spotify.
Yeah. No, like
if it's not that, it's Apple Music, and that's
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
I
pretty
don't think
much.
people, you know, the way like when you upload to a distributor, they put it on YouTube and stuff like that, and then you get the YouTube
Topic.
the topic thing.
Yeah.
I don't think people like that. I don't like that. I like because if I'm going on YouTube to look at a song, I want to read the comments to see what people are saying, but they turn off the comments, so it's like which I understand. Maybe it's because like for trolling and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's probably why, but like I'm just like I don't know. It kind of like if I'm looking at a song on YouTube, it's normally because either A, it's not available on any streaming platform, or B, it's because I actually want to see the conversation around it. You know.
I think you have to do that if you want to get it up on YouTube Music.
Yeah.
But I still upload
you
a single
do.
screen
If
video
you
of
want to
myself.
upload YouTube, you do.
Like I still upload like just the audio and the artwork for myself, for my own channel. You know.
If you have like a YouTube channel that's specifically for like music
Artists.
videos or anything like that, can you then integrate the YouTube music that's uploaded, as you mentioned, as a topic to your specific channel, or
No?
Exactly, that's the problem. If you could do that, that'd
Well,
be so much
actually,
better.
I don't know. I think they kind of fucked it a little bit because
Yeah.
I don't know because on your like automatically on your artist profile.
Yeah.
There's a releases tab, like a releases, on the channel, right?
Yeah.
And that has the ones that are uploaded to YouTube, the ones that you don't upload yourself. But I think topic is another. It's a different one.
Yeah, because like if you're going DistroKid again, like that's where the topic.
Yeah, and
it
it is a bit pointless. Like to be fair, yeah.
It seems a bit obnoxious. But I guess you could say like, well, if I just want my YouTube channel to be like my music videos and stuff like that, I want it to be creative expression. People aren't going to get in their inbox inundated with the full album when I release it or whatever, or the single. But I don't know. It seems like to try and combine those two. I guess you could on the individual level. You could just upload it to your YouTube channel yourself.
That's what I do. Yeah,
Well,
yeah. But and it's weird. Like the topic ones are quite pointless. Like because you can't even I have like an artist discography playlist on YouTube, right? But you can't add those topic videos
Oh, really?
into it.
That's insane. Yeah, because the topics are their own individual playlists.
Yeah. So
can you
stupid,
upload?
man.
Can you upload? Can you share the topic playlist that's automatically created onto your YouTube channel? Because you can't share.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because you can't share. You can make a playlist of other people's videos.
Yeah.
And then upload them to your YouTube channel, and people can watch it. So maybe that'd be a way. I don't know if that's possible.
Probably, but I don't know, man. It's annoying.
Yeah.
But as I said, Spotify is where my prime focus is at for a platform, Plus, obviously Instagram and stuff, but for music specifically, I think.
Yeah.
Well, YouTube is different. Like I think it's important to have YouTube only stuff.
Yeah.
Such as music videos.
Do you have to consider all different aspect ratios when you're uploading stuff? So like YouTube, you want 16:9. Then obviously for TikTok and Instagram, you want 1:1. So do you have to consider all that stuff too?
Oh yeah.
But when you're shooting it, you have to kind of think okay, I need this in the center because that's what's actually going to be picked up. And stuff Because actually, to be fair, if you're using if you're using YouTube, if you're using video editing software to make a 16:9 video into a 1:1 aspect ratio, it's actually not that difficult to make that alteration.
Yeah.
But the only thing that you have to have consideration for is what's actually in frame.
Yeah.
So how do you think about that? I guess in a 3-dimensional way.
Yeah, I mean,
for example, you were talking about that video where you have people throwing shit at you.
Yeah.
So do you use the treadmill itself as a reference point for this is, and also I assume because you mentioned it's from the green screen, you'd have stuff superimposed in the back. So do you have to give consideration? I also want this stuff to be visible on TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then also the items that are being thrown at you. I mean, these are just all different layers that you have to consider. You know what I mean?
But also, that all comes into consideration for sure. Also, I shoot 4K, so that when I crop it down, it doesn't lose quality.
Yeah.
It's still roughly 1080p once it crops to vertical video. But no, even when I'm framing up, I do take into consideration what the 1:1 would look like, what the 9:16 would look like.
Yeah.
Vertical,
I noticed that you can actually get video markers now. It's kind of like a gel sort of, and you put it. I don't know actually where you place it because you wouldn't be able to place it on the actual lens itself.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Do you know what I'm talking about? And you can place it there, and then you can look into or maybe just put it in front of the camera, and you can just look at it from the cameras, from the preview or on the camera itself.
Yeah.
And you can kind of go, okay, that's what's in frame on 1:1, and this is what's in frame altogether. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I would bother with, to be honest.
Just have to do it.
Nah, I kind of I've been doing video for 10 years now. I know, I can picture what it'll be.
Yeah.
So I don't need to worry about that. But I mean, it might be helpful for others.
You can just move it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In post.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, Aaron. Is there any? I guess one more time. Let's plug your gig.
Oh yeah, for sure.
One more time and tell everyone all about it.
Yeah, please come to my full band live show. Whelan's upstairs, June 21st, summer solstice.
Yep.
Longest day of the year, end it well. I'd also like to put you on a guest list if you're around. I'd love to have you there.
And
Awesome.
I guess one final thing. Plans for the rest of the year after the gig, obviously. Gigging more or just singles primarily?
I don't know. I'm kind of. I have a big life change currently, so I don't know what the situation is, but I'd like to gig more.
Have you gigged much around Limerick? I know that's where you're from.
Not really.
Would you like to do that though? Go back and play some of those places?
Maybe, yeah. I'd find it difficult to get a crowd though, and it's always been difficult to get a crowd to Limerick.
Really?
Limerick is just weird like that.
Yeah.
Even when I was younger, last year I went to a gig. 5 people showed up.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but I was one of the 5 people who showed up to it. That's crazy.
Venue was it?
Huh?
Which venue?
Casper.
Casper,
Yeah.
I like that place. I've been there once.
It's cool, yeah.
Nice, yeah. It's funny because I was there for a punk show and you had that what do you call it, the fireplace there.
Yeah.
I felt someone's gonna get their fucking head knocked.
Yeah.
Gonna knock their head off the side of that. Man.
Yeah.
You can really get the vibe when you're in there. That's just a room they had. So fuck it, let's try and convert it into a space. You know what I mean? I want say Whelan's upstairs or something like that. I actually think Whelan's is a good comparison for Dolan's in my mind. For a Dublin equivalent. And like little Whelans and like upstairs at Whelans, you can really tell. Okay, this is somewhere they convert to try and have as many spaces under.
Yeah.
With Dolan's, it just feels like. Oh yeah, this background.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would look like a nice cozy old man's pub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I
it's
think
like,
that was
let's
the
go
same with
stage.
Little Wayne's as well.
Is
I think
it? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
do
I
separate
think it
rooms.
was like a different pub
Because
before.
it kind of, to me, Little Wheels has a vibe of like, a cafe gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sort of space. Like, when you watch like old films, like from,
Yeah.
I say
Yeah.
old films from the 90s or whatever, and
Yeah.
people are just sitting around a cafe, and there's a poet up there going, I lost my cat. So, like,
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. Coffee
Yeah,
shop.
because it is kind of primarily comedy in there.
That place holds 50, man. I don't know. I've been in that place a lot, Little Wheels, and like, I think it holds maybe 30 at most. I'm
I
surprised
fit
50.
55 in there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Oh, bro, it was warm though.
See, you could
Too
actually.
warm.
I think it would be 50 if you didn't have the tables. Maybe.
I
Yeah.
had them all standing.
Yeah, well,
Like-
that's makes sense.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
I've been
yeah,
there,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like been sit down gigs. Like I think every
Yeah.
gig I've been there has been a sit down gig. So
I
I've
don't
never
like that.
been standing.
I prefer people
So
standing.
do I. I didn't know that was an option. I thought
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you're going there, you have to have that coffee.
It's funny when I showed up to do the Little Wheels gig, they had thanks very much, guys. um, they had the tables out, and I was like, could we get rid of all these seats?
Yeah.
And they were like, fine.
That would be a pain in the arse.
It was, but it was it was
Yeah.
a much better gig. Like,
That is a much better
you know,
gig.
I
I
think
didn't know that was an option.
people get into a gig more if they're standing. To be honest,
I agree.
You know, and yeah, I just feel that way. And like, it wouldn't have been because I had a band in there as well.
Yeah.
So it would have been weird for them all to be
Did you
sitting
go to any
down.
gigs during the like when the pandemic was easing? Because I remember, I forget who I went to see, but I saw a gig at Workman's Main Room. It was like and it was like the end of 2021, so like everything was just reopening.
Yeah.
But they had to have they still had to have those the precautions there, so they had to have the social distancing still.
Yeah.
So their way of doing that was to put tables in the room, and like you could sit at this table, two people could sit at this table, two people
Yeah.
or whatever, and it was just a weird vibe. And it was, but it's interesting because at the time, like, it didn't really take from the gig for me.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's like now I look back and I was like, actually, that was kind of interesting. Just like as kind of a memory of that time when we're like coming out of lockdown, but people were still really scared of getting COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like now, no one cares anymore. Like people could be dying of COVID and just be like, they just go. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny actually. This band from Limerick, they released an album right before COVID hit. It was called "Breathe in the Strange." It was not a good title to have right before COVID.
There was a band called. This is the strangest one I've ever heard. There was a band called We Are the World Trade Center. That was her name, and they released a record just before 9/11. Not too
No
before.
way.
Here's a fucking mad thing. I swear to Christ, the 11th song of that album is called September.
No.
I swear on my fucking life that is real. Like, that was mad. Because it's funny because I remember there was 2 albums that came out on the day of 9/11. Because it was a Tuesday, I think, right? And, like, for some reason, like, Tuesdays, like, they release records there sometimes. You know, way over here, it's like Friday.
Yeah.
And it was 2 albums. It was Slayer, God Hates Us All, and the other was I forget the name of the album, but the Nickelback album with the teardrop. You know, it has like How You Remind Me and all that.
Yeah.
And both of them came out in 9/11.
Oh no.
I wonder if it affected sales because like the whole country went lockdown for a week. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh man.
That sucks. That sucks.
Do you remember 9/11? Were you alive for it?
I was 3 years old, so I don't remember.
I don't remember. I was 7. And I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
I remember. I always tell the story. I remember the year anniversary 9/11. So it would have been September 11th, 2002.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I remember is we were in computer class, and me and my friend are playing a game on the computer. And you know, if you die in the game, you switch, right? So your turn, my turn, when you die, right? And our principal comes over the speaker and goes, "We're gonna have a moment of silence for the people who died in 9/11." So he's a tap on my playing right during the minute of silence, and he dies during the minute of silence, and he almost shouts "fuck," and then he just looks at me and just kind of like rolls his eyes and just hands the keyboard to me. So I always remember that. So that's probably
your memory. Of
that's probably a
9/11,
better
right,
memory of 9/11
Yeah, I suppose.
than most people have.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Actually,
is that good?
I just want to. I'll be having like T-shirts at the gig.
T-shirts, yeah.
I don't know if you're a white or a black T-shirt kind of guy. You seem like a black T-shirt kind of guy.
I'm right there. I'm with that
Yeah.
bull, man.
Here, I'll show you a picture of him.
Oh, I do like that. That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a white guy.
but I think I'm picking them up tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
So,
Fruit of the Loom or
huh?
Fruit of the Loom or who's the manufacturer? Do you know? It doesn't matter. It's an
It's
irrelevant question.
it's with the Dublin company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's not like
Do you,
children or anything
who
that
did the
are
art?
making it.
No, I didn't mean that. Do you actually, when it comes to the visual design again, like the illustration, is that like you or is that a friend?
That's a friend of mine, and it kind of goes back to the idea of
You
meet
said
everyone
so.
you know.
Yeah.
He was a musician at an open mic in Chennai,
Yeah.
and he turned out to be an illustrator.
Yeah,
And
one thing I've worked
yeah.
with like kind of illustrators, and I've worked with other people, and it's just like or photographers and stuff. I was like, I never know what's like a reasonable amount to charge. So I just kind of like let them decide.
Yeah,
and I just
yeah.
kind of go, if I can afford it, I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know
But
what I mean?
he only charged me like 60 quid for the whole design.
Yeah,
Man.
that's the
It's
thing
great.
though. Like, you never know because like
But you usually pay like 150, 200.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I was listening to your old interview, your previous interview, and I forget you were talking about for one of the instrumentals you used some musician off of Fiverr.
Yeah.
And I used Fiverr for, if you look at the video version of this podcast. So I had the illustration done by an artist that I commissioned, and then I was like, it was too static, so I was like, I just want some kind of dynamic thing. So just like have the cigarette smoke kind of moving, and have like his coffee, the coffee steam kind of moving, stuff like that. And it was like 150, and it wasn't bad. I was like, yeah, that's good, you know. And
Nice.
the dude nailed it on the first time too, because I was like, I just gave him the pitch, and he was like,
Yeah.
is this okay? I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have to do like redesigns or anything like
Yeah,
that.
same with we got the celloist off Fiverr for the top song.
But my issue is sometimes I feel like I'm being exploited here because a lot of them are like guys from like India and Pakistan and stuff, and I feel like am I kind of
Taking advantage?
complicit in that. But then it's
Well,
like,
if they're happy with the price, then
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Yeah.
You know, I've worked with a girl in the Philippines for like video stuff. Like basically, she was gathering stock footage for me,
yeah.
and she was happy with like 15 quid for the video.
Do you find as a freelancer doing creative outputs for their artists that do you find it difficult to kind of know what's the right amount to charge and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it's so arbitrary.
Especially because like in video, everything is different.
Yeah.
You know, so I prefer to meet with the person and talk about the project they want to do before I give them a price, you know. But it's different for this video package that I'm doing. I have the price set at €120, and so that it's approachable for every musician. You know, musicians are broke. I'm broke. I know the feeling, so I want to set it at a certain price. Yeah.
Everyone has shit job contracts and stuff like that. I guess one final thing, I just saw this now actually, you were mentioning that the record has been finished for a while. Now you're playing with a band and it's a different personnel. How do you feel the music's kind of changed, I guess, in the live setting compared to the record?
I love the live versions we're doing. I'm very much like, as I said before, you know, the producer is a collaborator. It's his songs. The musicians who help me record, it's their songs too. These live versions are my band's songs too, you know.
And like, do you have a preference for that compared to the album version?
Since they're more new, I do really like the live versions of some songs that we're doing, especially because like when we were like developing the set, some songs just weren't working. You know, because we had like at the time when we were developing one of the songs, we didn't have any like piano or keyboard in it. We didn't have a keyboardist. We do now though, but at the time I was playing acoustic guitar. We had electric guitar, bass, drums, and something about it just didn't work. Because like on the record, the song was very like piano based, and had a lot of piano and synth stuff, and it just didn't work without all that stuff. So we just stripped it back and turned it into this like groovier song, like funkier, you know. And it's one of my favorite songs now. Like I'm very happy with it, and like even songs that aren't on the record, we're putting into the set list and just developing them as a band, you know. And I wouldn't have, like, one song that I expected to be more like It Takes One to Know has become more funk.
Yeah.
And it's so much cooler, you know. It's a lot more cool. It's a lot more fun as well, for an audience as well. So yeah, I'm very much of the I don't care about recreating the recorded versions. I'm very much like, okay, my electric guitarist, what do you hear on it? You don't need to recreate exactly. All I really want is the same vibe. I don't care about specific melodies or whatever, you know. So I'm very much like, these are my collaborators. Let's do a new type of set, you know.
Was the personnel on the recorded versions primarily yourself, or did you have a band with you?
I didn't have a specific band, but I had musicians that came in to help me with it. Like, I have the guy who helped me record my EP, and It Takes One to Know. He basically did drums, bass, guitar, piano, backing vocals. He was the life of that EP. He came back to do drums and bass for me on the album. And then I got an electric guitarist named Fur. He was just, he's unreal, man. He brought the songs to life. I had this banjo player and harmonica player, Tom Hartman. He's from the Netherlands. He came over to help me with it.
You mentioned last
yeah.
time.
But he's actually featured on the next track that I'll release. And yeah, just like bringing in all these like super talented people and just saying, okay, what do you hear on it? That's what really built it.
This isn't the guy who came to Dublin, was it? The guy from the Netherlands?
No, not this guy. No. Don't worry. No.
Okay, you can tell me off record. I will.
You won't know.
I won't know.
But yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like yeah, and like,
I'm just more interested, actually, not necessarily in the artist. I just want to know what country it was. So that's why. Spain. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why. For some reason, I was thinking Germany. I don't know why.
No, Spain.
I think there's a lot of German artists coming.
I'll show you after.
It's cool. Like, imagine like leaving Berlin to come to Dublin.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I'm not judging them. Like, all right.
Yeah,
It's interesting too, man. Because like, you know, you think of like the Dublin music scene, you think of like the Irish music scene, I guess, in general, and it's like, it's just crazy that people are like hopping over here for, because like you always think of like people doing that for like London and Berlin and stuff like that, Paris, as well as like New York, LA, and all them. But like, now it's like, oh yeah, I came to Dublin to start a music career. Like, all right.
It's funny. It's a bit funny, yeah. But like it's a great spot, but it's very condensed.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Well,
there is
condensed.
competition.
But it's condensed, but also there's just so much. Like for the size of Ireland, it's like we're definitely punching, I think.
Yeah.
Like, really. It's
100%.
I can't even like, you know, and I'm doing this, and like even I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I don't like. There's so many artists I've never heard of, because like you know, you get people kind of emailing and stuff, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I've never heard of this person. It's like, maybe I'm just like too lethargic or something.
But that's the thing, like Dublin's so small that all these artists are just more closer to each other, you know, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing, you know.
And do you think that we'll see a decrease in new artists once Workman's closes?
Maybe.
Do you think like, oh, I can't get Workman's, no point in even trying?
Nah. Workman's isn't the be all end all though.
I agree. I think like I think Workman's is kind of like a very accessible thing. I think where people have it in their mind. I think that, you know, it's kind of prestigious, but like even something like the Grand Social, which does do a lot like local gigs, or like Soundhouse, like all these places do local gigs, Whelan's. But I think there's like some degree, I think people feel like I have to have like some reputation to be able to play these venues or something. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think a lot of
maybe
Sinead's actually a very accessible person.
Oh yeah,
I think,
yeah,
where people kind of
100%.
go, like, I could see myself up there.
Yeah. It's a great spot to practice stage presence, even at the open mic. Like, it's proper stage, good sound, you know. I don't know. See, I contacted Workman's to book a show before I booked Whelan's Upstairs.
Yeah.
But it was like 6 months ago, and they probably had stopped taking artists by then, because I never heard back from them, you know. So I would love to play there. I will be playing there this Friday. Unfortunately, it will just be on my own though.
You should have to that when you do that gig. You should ask, "How did you guys get this?"
I think he booked it like 2 years ago or something like that.
Fuck. Is it really that backlogged?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's people looking for ages, you know.
Yeah, because I knew someone who booked a gig there, and I know, like, I didn't think it was that long. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, it's mad, man. Like, you know, how backlog these venues are. Like, you know, I guess, like, that's the good thing about having so many different venues that are kind of of the smaller size.
Yeah.
But now I wonder if, like, now that Workman's is closed, and if, like, these other venues, like, will people move to Sinead? Will they become...
Maybe,
just in terms of the schedule?
Yeah, like, Workman's, it's not... It's kind of a rock place,
you
know, so maybe they might end up in Sinead, maybe they'll take over Soundhouse or whatever. I don't know.
You know where you should check out, man? I don't know if you played it, but Bellow Bar is like a pretty nice spot.
I have looked at
It's a nice spot, dude.
yeah.
I don't know how much it costs rent, but it's a really cozy kind of sitting room vibe. Have you been there for like a
I've
gig
never
or-
been there.
It's just like it's actually very atypical because like the stage is like at ground level, so but seats and stuff are elevated. So like basically you're kind of like, and people can sit at the front and stuff like that, and people can sit on the side.
Yeah.
It's not really laid out like if you're like I'm making a music venue.
Yeah.
Like it's not laid out the way you'd expect.
Right.
But there's something very interesting about the layout that I think just like gives people a different vibe. Although I can't imagine if you're on stage and like everyone's kind of up there, because like elevated above you, and you're like, hey, you know what I mean?
Feel
like
really
that.
small.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
like that. But I think it's an interesting perspective. Of course, there will be people like there's that room in the front for people. The only problem with it is like if you're doing like a rock gig or something like that, there's not really much room to dance. I've been to shows there, and like just. It's really good for like sit down, more intimate shows, but like for bigger kind of more rock shows, it's kind of like it just doesn't have the space.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, like when I was thinking about the next show, the only thing I'd really take into account is capacity. So and like I have an Excel sheet.
So do you find it easy to get? Because like there's some venues that go like here's our capacity, and others don't. Others are a bit more close off. You kind of have to ring. I'm sure if you rang them and try to influence
sometimes it does take a bit of research to track it down. But I've been building an Excel sheet of all the venues in Ireland and the UK and stuff.
Oh, really?
Probably got about 200 venues now on it. But I just kind of scroll through and find the capacity, and it's like, 100, that could be an option.
Are you looking at like for Ireland? You were saying like you'd like to kind of play shows at Dublin if that was a possibility. Like, so do you have like just like the major cities like Cork, Limerick, Belfast, Galway, or is it like everywhere? Like like how extensive is it? I guess the list.
I'm still building it, but I do have some venues in like the smaller parts, like like Dundalk and
Drogheda has
Kilkenny and
Kenny's great.
Tipperary, like a good few places,
Really, Tipperary? It's like much of the music scene. No,
well, it's the smaller bars, like.
Sure, I used to go to Tipperary a lot as a kid, so I just didn't feel like there was any kind of place for.
There isn't really, but I'm putting down every small bar that accepts bookings or whatever, just putting together everything. Because like I don't know, maybe in the future I'll do like a small tour where I go to like venues of like 20 people.
Yeah,
it's not a bad idea.
They deserve music too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah.
Thanks very much for your time, Aaron. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, Patton? I didn't cover that people should know,
Stream Broken, brand new track out, and come to the show, June 21st, Saturday, summer solstice. It's gonna be awesome.
Check
have you ever heard of Keith Plunkett?
No.
He's supporting. He's very cool. Very kind of finger style percussive stuff. He likes to slap his guitar a lot.
Okay. Cool.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, so it's gonna be fun, and I'll have some T-shirts available if anyone wants to buy them. It's gonna be cool. Yeah, that's it, man.
Perfect. Thanks very much for your time, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you liked it, please subscribe and stick around because we have plenty more like this coming soon.